In today's world of IT, there's many buzzwords and catchphrases hovering around, such as AI, ML, IAC, and even Python. But what exactly is Python and why is it so catchy, or why is everyone saying that it should be learned? Well, taking a look here, we can see that over 87,000 respondents for those developers that use one programming language or another, that the top two languages are JavaScript and a combination of HTML and CSS. And as you may or may not know, those are the three essential elements or ingredients for front end web development. But coming in right behind them at number three is actually Python. Just a tick under 50% of the respondents said that they use Python in some way, shape, or form in their daily activities. Well, I've got some exciting news for you. I'm actually going to be starting my mini course in Python. And again, the emphasis is going to be for us here on the network or security side of things to see how we can actually gain or take advantage of this popular language that seems to be taking the web by storm. So the way that we're actually going to do this mini series is to peel back the onion a little bit. And at the very beginning, as you can see here, we're going to just learn how to set up our Python environment. And we're actually going to use something that makes it simpler, but we're going to showcase a few different options. But if you've ever heard of Replit, that's actually going to be the tool that we're going to use to basically make it seamless and easy for anyone to just get on a keyboard and start coding. Then we need to do a little bit of understanding the syntax, or basically the rules of Python, so that we can understand the why of why we're typing those commands in the exact format that we need. Python is an interpretive language, and we're going to go exactly over what that means. And with Python, spacing is very important. So we're going to demonstrate that here shortly as well. And then really, we're going to layer on top of that, how do we handle different ways or different forms of data? And how do we manipulate those datas into functions or classes or even loops? What do those all mean? And why is it beneficial to know them? We're going to demonstrate that in very specific ways. And then layer on top of that, how do we use modules or different packages, and what's the significance or what do they add in the sense of value? Well, basically what that's going to be is that Python, of course, comes with a set of different instructions or different built-in things that you can use. But if we want to take advantage of different modules or different functions, we can go ahead and import those kind of like libraries into our Python code or script, and it'll allow us to do different things. One of the built-in functions that we can import is one called math. And so if we want to take the square root of something, then we can just import the math library and easily do that. But again, we'll have some examples there as well. And really, the last thing is, how are we going to apply Python to solve some real world problems? We as network engineers, one of the things that we really hope to achieve, of course, in the form of network automation, is to be able to interact with our network devices, perhaps pull some different configs by running some commands, or have a script built in to retrieve that information for us. And really, by the end of these 8 to 10 videos, that's really what we want to be able to do and demonstrate and feel confident about being able to take on to the real world and perform these actions our very own self. So that's really like a high level overview of what's to come. And I hope that by the end of this mini series that you find a lot of value and benefit that you can either apply in your own day-to-day life or take it to the next level and reinforce that with some self-study. So what I'm gonna do now, really, if you don't know what Python looks like, is I'm actually got a class here that I gotta finish, is to just dive right in. And this again isn't really the shell or one of the programs that we use, but it's an online lab, and just spend about 4 to 5 minutes here with me talking out through how I'll solve some of these, not real life problems, but problems so that you can kind of get an idea of it. So this here basically is the requirements that we need to satisfy to successfully demonstrate our competency for this lab. And we're presented with, I think it's a fact that the half-life of the amount of time it takes for a substance to fall to half of its life inside of a human body, caffeine specifically, is 6 hours. So every 6 hours, the amount of caffeine is basically gonna halve. And so here we're gonna need to basically ask the user for a value, an input of how much caffeine, just a whole number. And then we're given some boilerplate or basically starter code. This is the variable caffeine underscore mg for milligrams. And the value is going to be the input, asking a user again, this sample is 100 milligrams of caffeine. And then we're going to store that in a float, which is basically a decimal. So as opposed to an integer, which is the input of the user with no decimal, we're going to take that integer and then change it to a float or decimal value. And then we need to basically code the amount of caffeine in a human's body after 12 hours and 24 hours. And we can see here, if it starts at 100, it's going to half after 6 hours, and then the 50 will half again. So we'll think this one through. We got some cheat code here for how to ensure basically with this colon.2f after our variable name there to basically ensure that the output is to 2 significant or decimal point values. So we'll mess some things up here on perfect just to see the output. We got basically developer mode here, but let's go ahead and think or talk this one through. So here basically we're going to start with a variable name of 6h. And so after 6 hours, if the user inputs 100, we need to basically come up with a way to get to 50. And so basically what I would do is take the variable, because the value of what the user inputs there is going to be 100, and then just divide that by 2. And again, because that variable, the type, is actually converted into a float, when we divide that by 2, it'll be 50 dot, I don't know how many zeros, but we'll see without putting that colon.2f what we'll get there. And then again, now we need to basically get after 20 or 12 hours. So let's write 12h and then we'll assign that. Now we don't need to use this original value because 100 divided by 2 would give us 50 again. So because this is 50 divided by 2 to get to 25, we need to actually take this variable name and then just divide that by 2. And as you can guess, if we did that one more time, we would actually just change this one up. And here we would take the previous value of 12h, and then we would do that. Now, as far as displaying that on the screen and outputting it, there's different ways to print, but I'm going to use basically the f-string method where we can literally type what we want the output to be. And so for our first line, we need it to display after 6 hours colon, and then what is this value for this variable? The variable is 6h. So with f strings, we need to basically use these, I call them face brackets, and then write our variable inside. And again, we'll leave this off to just see how many decimal places it'll be, and then mg. So without even doing the last 2 lines, because I'm curious, let's just go ahead and see what the output is. We do have one mistake. Just going to see, again, a little bit about what Python, the interpreter, actually presents to us. So if we use that same value of 100, we're trying to expect 50. So if we run this code, we're going to get an error here. And really what this is telling us here, it's telling Python is, love it, it's pretty smart. It's telling us on line 3, there's something wrong. Then it's going to display that line, and the very first character there, it's an invalid decimal literal. It's kind of foreign, but one of the things about variables is that they cannot start with a number. So let's go ahead and change this to hour 6, and of course we need to now change our code consistently through. So that'll be there, that'll be there. This will be hour 12. We'll change that there. This will be hour 24. And just double checking. And so we should be good. So let's run that same program again, and let's see what we got. So our output is after 6 hours 50.0, so to one decimal place, but we know that to satisfy this requirement we need it to be 2. And so again, we do have the cheat code there, which we could just copy and paste here right behind our variable, and let's run that again. And we see that now we have the exact output that we need, which is here. So now let's go ahead and get those last 2 lines, and we can go ahead to take some time, copy that and make the appropriate changes. This again, after 12 hours, after 24, and we want to display the value of hour 12, our variable there, which should be 25, and then 25.00, and then again after 24 hours, we need the variable name here inside of these face brackets, and then we should get the right value. Let's see, we don't need this space, white space there, which if this was tested with an automated program, we would not get that there. So we'll run this one more time and we should be good to go. There we go. So after 12 hours, 25, after 24, 12.50. So after, there we go with the concept map. So they didn't ask us in increments of 6. That's the dealio there. We don't have an after 18 hours, which would have been the 12.5. Tricked us up there. So we can do this in one of 2 ways. We could actually just divide this by 4, or we could write a temporary variable and not use it, like hour 18 equals hour 18 divided by, or hour 12 divided by 2, and keep going. But we'll just do the shortcut input, hour divided by 4. Let's run that one again. And there we go, 6.25. So let's change our input value, and just for kicks, let's run it with 200 and see, we might, yeah, so it works as well, because 18 would be 25 divided by 2 would give us a 12.5. But you do want to test out different, don't just go with the one input that you're given here. Even though this is kind of just not production or real world life, we should try some different input values as well to see what we got there. And then just to make sure that our code is good, let's just submit this one for that automated grading. And there we do, we see a 10 out of 10. They're using different values there. So we're good to go there. But basically, long story short, won't hold you, this is just, how we're displaying our Python code, how we're going through thinking about what it's going to be. And we're going to, again, layer by layer, we're going to build we're going to start with the foundation and build floor by floor different things, so that you as well can tackle any of these type of problems that are presented to you. And even once we get to the reading files, whether it's text file or CSV, comma separated value from a spreadsheet, that we can manipulate those files, we can add text to it, we can read from it, etc., etc. It's pretty cool in the real world type applications there. But that's really all I wanted to demonstrate or show today. It's just high level overview of what's to come over the course of the next few weeks. And I'm definitely excited. Like I said, very first mini series here, of course, was our Palo Alto demonstration there. And I'm going to link that playlist at the end here if you want to check that out to kind of see how we do these mini courses here. And again, each video will basically build layer by layer until we get to that ultimate achievable goal of basically being able to work with our network device. We'll use a router there, and to just be able to extract data from it, write to it, and even get to the point of where we can push configurations as long as we have that network reachability. So like I said, definitely excited to be able to share my Python knowledge with you and the real world use of us as network administrators, engineers, or whatnot. So again, feel free to drop a comment down below and tell me if you already are into Python, if there's something specific that you need me to demonstrate for you. Again, because we want to take it from the use case of someone that has no idea about what Python is, what it can do, the who's, the what's, the how's, etc., etc., and just like I said, layer by layer, build those skills upon top of each other so that they can successfully feel confident that they can come away with a lot of skills and knowledge to basically be able to take it to the next level. But I want to thank each and every one of you out there again for rocking in here with me today. We just surpassed 900 channel subscribers, and I'm super, super excited as we march to 1K. So again, from the bottom of my heart, thank each and every one of you. And until next time, stay safe, take care of yourselves, and peace.